Hi guys! So, I'm popping on. This isn't going to be the full podcast, so this is probably going to be like me jumping in the middle to show you some stuff from well before. But tomorrow I fly out of Calgary, and I thought I'd just do a little update, mostly because I am gonna forget everything that I finished if I don't do the update before I leave. So I'll update you and then I'll re-update you later on the stuff that happens in the future. And I won't have to remember the stuff that's happened before now. Yeah. Anyway, so I was showing you the sock yarn. I went camping, and in one day I always end up turning my heel when I'm hiking. If I'm making socks, it's always time to turn the heel when I'm hiking. So I'm getting better and better at it. This one I noticed. So what happened with this sock, the initial one, was I was hiking in Kananaskis, and I didn't notice that I had got to the heel yarn for a little while. And then I noticed, and then I made the heel, and then I still had heel yarn left. So they're pretty generous with the amount of heel yarn they give you in this child's sock. On this one, I noticed more immediately. So the stuff before the heel, I didn't think it would make much of a difference, and I don't think it really does. But the heel is basically it's not as centered in the excess yarn. If you see, like, the heel is here and then there's excess pink on this side, whereas this one, the heel is kind of in the middle more of the excess pink, if that makes any sense. Again, this is okay. I'm not bothered by it. I knew that was going to happen when I noticed the pink yarn and just went immediately, but I didn't have the other sock with me, and if I had been wanting to, make it a little bit more matchy-matchy, I probably would have looked at this sock and sort of kind of vaguely counted how many rows of pink I did, but I didn't have it with me because I was hiking and all I had was this, which is my acquisition that I want to show you before I leave. Sorry about that. That's the needle hitting the thing. Which is a handmade deerskin pouch made by... I'm going to go quickly grab... Typical. It's a short thing and I still have to grab something. I lost the card with the maker, but I think I predicted I was going to lose the card and I took a picture of it, so I'll have a look and I'll put the maker's name up. But I did look to see if they had an Instagram, and they don't. So I tried to list the maker when I posted this on Instagram and tag them. But they're a local maker in Banff, and they make these bags, and they're fantastic. I thought this is a perfect yarn bag for hiking because it's deerskin, so it's gonna have like I don't know, stickiness kind of, so the yarn will stick to it and you'll be able to pull out, and it's the perfect size for like those sock yarn balls. At least it was the perfect size for this one. And the only problem is you have to make sure that these little dangly bits, and as the skein gets smaller you can kind of tighten it, which is perfect as well. These dangly bits like to tangle up in with the yarn, so you have to kind of like keep them in your pocket when you're knitting, but this fits in my pocket because, don't let me get on a whole thing about pockets, but girls' clothing and pockets, I'm not into it. I do not like the size of pockets that are made for females versus the size of pockets that are made for males. It really, really upsets me. But anyways, that's a topic for another day. But my trousers are mostly large pocketed, and so this bag fits perfectly in, and so I can just take this and my sock and I can knit. Anyway, it's almost finished. It's not entirely. I hadn't bound off because A, I didn't bring my tapestry needle with me. B, it was pouring with rain. C, we had arrived at the car. It's nothing your partner wants more than for you to start Kirchner stitching a toe right when you arrive at the car and you've been hiking for hours and you're soaked. Just give me 3 minutes for a quick Kirchner stitch. She would have been like, also, I just wanted to like check the other sock to see how many stitches I ended up with. I did, looks like I ended up with quite a lot of stitches, so I might have to undo some of this. That's what I had thought when I stopped that one. I did kind of a variation on a round toe with this. It's not blocked, so it looks a little bit bumpy, lumpy. But the reason I did a round toe was because when I made this sock, again, I was hiking. I did this sock on a camping trip. Did this sock on a camping trip. They're camping socks. And I have this idea, guys. When I give these socks to my partner's niece, I'm going to make a little video of all of the pictures I've taken of the sock in the various camping locations. And I'm going to put the video together and give it to her with her pair of socks. And I'm thinking that would be quite a cool thing to do for other people if I make other people's socks. Because they're easy to knit while walking for me. Because I learned to knit in the dark. This is a weird story. Maybe I'll tell it to you. I mean, I will, definitely, but don't know if I have time now. I'm doing this in the in-between again. I really should be packing, guys. Really should be packing. It's a serious situation. I might take some pictures of all the yarn I have. Anyway, the point I wanted to make was I was hiking when I did the toe, and I didn't have any stitch markers with me. So I thought, you know what? A wedge toe really, really does need those stitch markers if you don't want to be looking all the time. Whereas a round toe, if you start at a random place, it's not as big of a deal. If I'd done a wedge toe and kind of got the starting in the wrong place and had the toe kind of like skew-whiff to the heel, that would have been quite annoying to the user. But a round toe is round by definition. So it wouldn't be a problem if I started it kind of a little bit on the wrong place. And also, not as necessary to have stitch markers. Obviously useful, and I did make a grass stitch marker, which I took a picture of for this sock. This one I made a stitch marker just out of the yarn at the end. They do like waste yarn at the end, and it was a super long one just because I couldn't be bothered to make it shorter. But it's just a loop. It's tied here, and it's a long little loop. So that was my stitch marker. Looks like my toes are very different, but I think I just need to probably rip back a bit and then Kirchner stitch it closed earlier. So that's fine. That's actually what I needed to do right now, is just check that, because I'd love for these to just be done and I can just relax. These both were blocked as I went. This one got blocked. I mean, if you, by blocked, you define it as getting wet and then drying out. I dropped it in the lake that I was camping at accidentally. This one got blocked because when I knit this foot, I did it almost entirely in the rain, mostly under a poncho that I had, which I took a little video of me knitting under a poncho, and it's hilarious, and I will maybe insert it here. But the last bit, I was tired of wearing the poncho and I was kind of hot, and it wasn't raining as hard. So this got soaked because I took the poncho off and finished knitting it in the rain, soaking wet. So yeah, okay, we have some time, guys. So anyway, I'm gonna finish this, and that'll be done, and then it'll be a Christmas present, and I'll make a little video for my partner's niece, and that will be lovely, and she will have some cute socks. So that was my sort of FOs. The other FO was I finished my this isn't entirely finished. I'm gonna do this now, actually. I mostly finished these. So these are my, I think I'm gonna call them my dishcloth socks. They're cotton socks, cotton tube socks, made with dishcloth cotton. I made it with Universal Yarns clean cotton because it's recycled. And you know what I was thinking? I was talking about the difference in the feel of these. They're also made with, it's cotton, but also a little bit of recycled polyester. So I wonder if maybe there was just different recycled polyester used on the purple than on the gray. Before in the last podcast, I was saying that the gray is really rough and the purple is really soft. Anyway, I did the elastic. So I'm not fully happy with how this is. In the future, I'm gonna do the elastic maybe one stitch down. I don't like it at the top because it kind of makes it look a bit like a bag. But I've got it in 3 places. I've got it on the stripe. And it fits like a dream. It's lovely and it keeps the sock up. But it's not like super tight on when you put it on, which was the problem with my initial pair, was I made them way too tight thinking I know that cotton doesn't go back into shape, so I'll just make it super tight so that it has to be tight, and that was just incorrect thinking because heel diagonals, guys, because heel diagonals, girls, because heel diagonals. None of that probably made any sense. My initial pair, my thought was, I'll just make them really small because I know that cotton, it doesn't bounce back into shape like wool does. So if they're really small, then they'll be tight around the ankle. That's false because it has to go over your heel diagonal, and then when it's around the ankle, it's already stretched out by going over the heel diagonal and it's sitting like that. So it needs the elastic to pull it in. So that's what these have, and they do come back into shape. And I need to do the second elastic, which I'll do now on this one, because you can see the difference. That's a bucket now, guys. And this one. It's kind of funny, you can kind of see that this bit that doesn't have elastic kind of staying out. But they look great on, I think. And I'm hoping the recipient is going to really enjoy them. I had some extra, and you know me, I like to play my yarn chicken, so I made a scrunchie, and I played some yarn chicken, as you can see with this scrunchie. I did not win the yarn chicken, or depending on your definition, I won, because I used up every single last piece of yarn, including my ends, because I actually used some of my ends on this bind off. So I did a 3-needle bind off. I made a tube on my sock needles with the remaining yarn, changed colors a couple times, and then I did a 3-needle bind off where before I started the bind off, I put the elastic inside between the two edges, and then I did the bind off with the elastic in it. But I ran out of yarn, and then because it was folded over, I had arrived near the ends of where I had started the scrunchie, and so I used some of the ends to continue the bind off, but even using up all of the ends, I didn't have enough. I had 3 stitches that I needed to introduce some other scrap, and that is scrap from my radish top, which is clearly a different color, but I kind of doubt the person's going to even use the scrunchie. I don't know that they're a particularly scrunchy type of person, but I just wanted to make a scrunchie. I'd been sort of eyeing up scrunchies, and I was like, I want to make this. So I made this while walking to a night market, and at the night market, I made it entirely. So I finished the sock, and then I cast this on while walking to the night market and walking around the night market, and then I bound it off walking home, and now I have a scrunchie. The I-cord bind off, the 3-needle bind off, I made it really tight because I knew I wasn't going to have enough yarn. I don't recommend for a scrunchie because the scrunchie bit could go much more than the bind off bit. But I did try it. You can get it around twice. Check this out, guys. Here we go. I have like scrunchy length hair now, which isn't gonna last because this is too much hair for me. But look, I can get it around twice. Ta-da! Cute. I'm definitely going to be making more scrunchies. In fact, I was considering using the rest of this because I was possibly starting to panic a little bit, folks. Because I was like on this hike and I was like, I'm gonna finish this. I'm gonna finish this sock, and I don't have a second backup sock with me. This is it. But I knew I would have extra yarn because I had extra yarn on the first one. And I was like, well, maybe I could just make a matching scrunchie. And I might do that, but the saver in me, the person that likes to save stuff, says sock yarn with nylon in it really should be saved for darning. Because I actually do use it to darn, and I love darning, and I love the result and everything about it. So I feel like this with the yellow would make really pretty darning, where you have like yellow going one direction and pink going the other. So while it would be really nice to make a scrunchie, I feel that scrunchies are better made out of yarn that doesn't have another purpose. And sock yarn with nylon and really that waste, or the like leftovers of that, really has a purpose. All other types of like scraps of yarn really don't have as much of a purpose, so they can be scrunchies. So maybe I'll find some cute pink yarn and make a vaguely matching scrunchie. Or actually, I have a whole bunch of yarn in this blue color, this kind of periwinkle blue, that I'll show you when I get back to London and I show you all the yarn I have in London. That might, well, it's going to become something because it's definitely a sweater's quantity. It's, my version of a sweater's quantity, which is some random amount that's either way too much or way too little, and it would match. So if I had some extra on that, then that would be great for, this is how I wind up balls of yarn. This is just the scraps. I'm winding it up because it's all tangled. So I just I put my finger over the ball, and then I wind it around my fingers, usually 2 fingers until the ball gets bigger, and then I use 3 or sometimes 4. But that keeps the ball from being super tight, and that's how I wind my yarn. You can see here, that's a wound up ball. That's my avocado dyed yarn, and that's my other whip, my one other thing that I have to show you. And I'm just doing this because it's here and that's what's happening. So there you go. That's gonna be for darning, most likely. So those are gonna all go away to people. This is a test knit. This is a test knit. It's the Sweet Shop hat by Iris. H Iris Makes, I believe, is her Instagram. It is a amazing squishy double brioche, not double, 2-color brioche hat. I'm testing the medium because, girls, I have a large head. However, I feel that it shouldn't be able to go around my head without stretching. So, I feel that my gauge may be off. Also, when I made the September jacket by Petite Knit, she said that brioche stretches a lot, grows a lot. Girls, if this grows, we are in for an extra large hat. So I think I might have to go down a needle size. I probably should also just swatch, I think. I thought that this was my mistake. I thought that the swatch was in brioche, so I thought I'll start the hat, hats aren't very big anyway, go for a while, that way I'll be doing brioche in the round instead of brioche back and forth, and then I can measure my hat as a swatch. So I thought this was my swatch. Then I looked at the pattern and the swatch is in stockinette. So I was like, oh great, this is useless. Useless swatch. So I think what I'm gonna do is probably pull this out, go down a needle size, swatch in that needle size, and then go again. This is my avocado yarn, and then this, the white, is the undyed yarn paired with that mohair that I made the Wednesday sweater out of. So there's a little bit of sweet shops going on in there and a little bit of pale pink, which I'm really loving. I think this is amazing. Also, when I redo it, I don't know, I made the pink the main color. I think I'm gonna stick with that. I think Iris has hers with the lighter color as the main color and the more pinky color as the background color. So, but the way I have it, this is going to be the main color and that will be the background color, both for the flip brim and the rest of the hat. I think I'll stick with that, but if you think I should go with this as the right way around, let me know. I mean, you can always just flip the hat inside out and then you have it that way, so I shouldn't be too concerned about that, should I? Anyway, that's my whip. It's probably going to restart, and I'll probably take it on the plane because big needles, plastic also. I really want to take some socks on the plane, especially these, but I'm really unsure about these little guys on the plane. They should be fine, but you know, you just get the fear, don't you, of it getting taken away from you. Anyway, I'll look it up, because if it doesn't say anywhere that you can't have knitting needles, then I'll just tell the people, guys, it doesn't say anywhere. And they'll be like, oh, sure, yeah, okay, you can decide what goes and doesn't go on the plane, not me. And I'll be like, yeah, thank you. That's not how it would go. It's definitely not how it would go. Alright, that's everything pre-Calgary exit. I will see you post-Calgary exit. Oh man, does this happen where you get it stuck inside of a zipper? Hate that. Got it. It's all good. Everything's fine. Bye.